time you happen to be watching this. It is 2/20/2022, special date for me and my parents. And I just want to start this today and welcome everyone who will come and gather here to Valuable Voices. What is Valuable Voices, you ask? Well, Valuable Voices is a place where people can gather, tell their stories, express their emotions, let people know who they are, where they've been in life, what that taught them, what it can teach you, and hopefully it's a place to help you or someone else get through. We are still in the midst of, I'll say pre-post pandemic time frame. And I know that while going through the pandemic, there were some stories that I heard, individuals that I spoke to that were going through a really tough time in their existence. I had some rough areas myself. Thank God for counseling and counselors and BetterHelp and other individuals that I went to help me maneuver that process. Times of loneliness, times of confusion, times of rebellion, times of, okay, God, I'm sure you're here, but I need to know what you're doing. And other people who have been through that as well, but maybe just didn't have anyone to turn to, talk to, or couldn't afford counseling. This is not a counseling page. But I do want it to be a place where you can come when there's really no one else to turn to and you can hear someone else's story. And hopefully it helps you just take that breath so you can get a clear mind for just an instant to go to the next level of what you need to do to get more clarity, get more healing, get more relationship with Christ. I am a Christian woman. I do believe in Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior of our God and Father. And I pray I do what I can on this page while speaking to you all to convey that so that when you go through or you have turned to someone and it hasn't answered your questions, that this can be a spot where you can rest. Why is it started? That's pretty much why it started. Who will I have on here? Just individuals who I feel are wise, who are kind, some professionals who can actually give some advice on matters of the mind, the heart, and the spirit. And yeah, that's what this will be about. So in order to push things forward sometimes, we have to be first partakers of our own dish that we're cooking. So for me to be a first partaker here, let me give you a little bit of my story. My name is Veronica, born and raised in a household with two parents here in Nashville, and have been through some episodes and through the military. Parents have passed away, went through some grief with that, and didn't know where to turn, how to maneuver my life. Finally met some individuals who were able to lead me to Christ. And my expectation, I'll tell someone else the story. My expectation when I received Christ was literally that the skies and the heavens were going to open. I was going to see angels or doves floating down to say, oh, good job. Thank you for joining the family of Christ. None of that happened. But I have to say, I did feel like I could breathe again. I did feel a little lighter. Were there still trouble? Were there still turmoil? There was, and there is. So if anyone has received Christ or is in the process of that and thinks life's going to be perfect, it won't be perfect, but it'll be better because there will be a help, some mostly unseen if it comes from Christ, but sometimes seen because he works through people. He needs somebody to work through. So you will get the assistance you need when the time comes, but most of that assistance will come from the inside of you because you will be able to walk this thing out in a better way than you did before. What have I been through? Some stuff. What will I tell you about today? Just examples. If you have had things happen, like when my parents died, I had a home, a lovely home that I was settling into in Atlanta. And I was not really good about keeping my finances together. I am yet learning that lesson. And prayerfully, I will have someone on here to help us with that as well. But with that, I didn't lose that place because of my lack of diligence and because of the sadness that was growing in me that I didn't recognize. I gave that place away for the most part. My mom and dad are both my beautiful parents, but I kind of say my mom was my dad. My mom was my brother's parent, and my dad was my parent because he had my heart. And when he passed away, especially without seeing what I considered an accomplishment of purchasing a house at like 21, 22 years old, he never got a chance to see it. Creditors called, and they were basically, since I was living in Atlanta, really honestly had one say, well, you need to get on the pole since you're in Atlanta and make you some money to get us paid back. Sent me into a spiral. I could not believe someone said that, and I could not believe that no one was really working with me to help me save this place that I had worked so hard to get. So basically I was like, okay, I'm done here. Left that place, went to an area in Florida, and had received, in the middle, had received Christ when I went to visit my brother. It was a gentleman named Brother Blaze. Brother Blaze, if you happen to see this, thank God for you. I had seen individuals who were Christian or of the Christian faith, but to say this gently, they didn't have what I needed to receive Christ. At that time, I felt like if you're so full of God, if you're so holy, if you know so much about Christ and you have this power, you should be able to look at me and see that I'm hurting. You should be able to speak into me without asking me, are you saved? No, I wasn't. At that time, my thought process, however it was, this is my thought process. I believed I knew God. I was friends with God. I know who He is, and I'm good. And at that time, I called Jesus his flunky boy secretary. So why do I have to go through the secretary in order to get to the CEO? That wasn't the way to go. After I received Jesus, I finally understood this. It was this wonderful gentleman, like I said, Brother Blades, and he told me what made sense to me. He said, you've tried everything else. You've been into everything else. I'm not telling you you have to receive Christ. I am offering Him to you as a gift and as a friend. If this doesn't work out, you've tried and dropped other things before, it will be your prerogative to choose to do that as well. But out of the choices there are to make, it would be the best to at least take His hand in friendship, walk this friendship out, and see what you two can produce together. And that's exactly what has happened. I've had bumps in the road, but I know I've had someone there to help walk me through this. What were one of my bumps in the road? I won't say it's the most poignant, but the one for this purpose that's coming to mind. I had moved back to Nashville after the parents had passed away, trying to get established, had moved back and forth between some homes and some apartments, finally got a place of my own. And when I was there, still was not diligent with the funds, and ended up having the electricity shut off for maybe a week. What was I going to do? And it was in the winter. One of the rare winters that we have here was actually cold and actually snowy. I had a job at a YMCA, and I didn't realize that was going to be how God helped me through. I had been through some other stuff at this place where I was in the process of trying to buy, and the person who was helping me buy it, they were very gracious. I was very grateful to them. But during this process, I was like, okay, I know I can pay this part of the rent or the mortgage, but I can't do the electricity, so the electricity got cut off. So when it did and it was cold, how am I supposed to get through this? At that very time, the place I was working, they had increased meetings. I was being required to come in at like a 5 a.m. shift rather than my regular like 8 o'clock to get things started. But that was the saving grace for me, because as I came in at those 5 a.m. shifts, anybody from the Y, I hope it doesn't get me in trouble at this time. If it does, know that you were a blessing to me. I had this wonderful huge blanket that I needed to launder. I had some clothes that I needed to wash in that time. I took them with me when I went to work in the mornings, and I washed them in that industrial washer and dryer. How else it got me through? We had meetings, we had sessions during the day, and for whatever reason, they wanted me to order the food. When the food came, there was usually extra, something went on, and I would have food to eat for that week because I couldn't cook. The blankets that I had in the washer or the dryer, I would dry them again right before I left. I would end up putting them in a plastic bag and bringing them back to my little place. And then at night, I had like plastic underneath the sheets, and I put that blanket over me. And I had a big old dog, so she was also a rooming place. And I would sleep under there, and it would keep me warm during the night. I would get up in the morning, put on what I needed to put on, get back to the facility, take my shower, get ready for the day, and continue that for like a week or 2 weeks. And that got me through that tough period. Even before then, I saw how, even before, people say, oh, if you're not saved, God won't hear your prayer. That's not true. That's not true at all. Because... Well, we're going to stop right here, and we will continue this again on this week. And we'll also have a segment from Dr. Sandra Holt. I hope that you received value out of what little bit you've heard so far. And I hope that you'll come back again to listen to more valuable voices.